Welcome to another episode of Business Talk on Business Tech, South Africa's biggest business news website. And we're talking all about innovation today in financial services. And it's clear that in today's pandemic tech accelerated world, to remain ahead of their competitors, businesses and banks must ensure seamless customer-centric digital experiences. But what does that mean? And how far have banks actually come? And what can we expect from banks in the future? How are banks leveraging innovation in this current environment? Well, to talk about this, I'm really excited to be talking to Subash Sharma, who's head of digital channels for Absa Retail and Business Bank. Subash, you take accountability for the development and the execution of the digital strategy, so a big role inside the bank. Thanks for joining us. You're also the founder of a few startups, and you've led or pioneered various innovations. And I think we're all very familiar with Absa's world-first transactional banking solution on WhatsApp. So it's fair to say, not a traditional grey-shoed banker. Firstly, how did you come to head digital channels inside Absa, one of the country's biggest retail banks?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been a very long and exciting road, but it's always been filled with some significant challenges. I think my background has been in core engineering, and as the world transformed digitally into the digital space, applying an engineering innovation kind of mindset into a digital transformation mindset was a natural way to go. And I think one of the opportunities you do get at one of the largest banks in the continent is the ability to express yourself and to implement things that you always dreamed about. And that's what it's been like at Absa, and we fortunate to have delivered some very innovative and sometimes world-class solutions.
And the reason I mentioned the fact that you've got a few startups under your belt as well is because generally startups are founded by thinkers, creators, and builders, which is clearly what you are. But that's not necessarily the culture inside a big corporate bank. That is changing. How have you found that shift through the pandemic in particular? Has it just accelerated that concept inside the bank that you have to innovate now at a pace that potentially you've never thought of doing in the past?
I think even before the pandemic started, I think it was widely recognized within the bank that you've got to innovate in this current world. You've got to transform yourself digitally. So the digital agenda on the bank, even before COVID started, was a significant strategic point. I think what COVID has done is crystallized how important that digital transformation, the acceleration of that digital transformation is. And therefore, many things that were already in the pipeline, many things that were things that we wanted to bring to market was just accelerated and shift up a gear so that we actually showed up to the market much faster than we originally anticipated. And I think what COVID has helped us do is actually crystallize every single person within the organization behind the digital transformation mantra so that we can all focus on our customers. But how do we make our lives of our customers so much that more easier? And things like COVID kind of made the case for digital so much easier to sell.
Absolutely. I was chatting to a well-known VC the other day, and they said prior to COVID, yes, everyone understood tech as an asset class in Silicon Valley and the FANGs, but it was a tough sell to raise funds into a VC fund investing into tech startups. COVID then happened, and it almost de-risked that conversation entirely. It was almost like, well, you come and talk to us now. We haven't got any allocations. But coming back to the retail customer on the ground, how have you seen COVID-19 impact Absa's retail customers?
Yeah, I think we have to recognize that, since the outbreak of COVID, not only has it been a significant humanitarian problem, a societal problem, but it has affected our society and our economy quite significantly. We have seen the stress of customers at the start and the onset of COVID, during the start of lockdown, people starting to lose their jobs, economy starting to slow down, and so on and so forth. So, and even recently with some of the unrest and some of the looting that we've seen, it is hampered our customers significantly, not only from an economic sense, but also from a psychological sense. And I think as a Pan-African bank, our role has been quite significant to making sure that we are there for our customers and our community when these times appeared. I think it is by no stretch of the imagination to say that when lockdown started, it was something that in our lifetime we haven't experienced this kind of hardship, or at least in my lifetime. The world that I grew up in didn't necessarily in our country see these kind of significant turmoil. And showing up as a leadership team, showing up and being true to our strategy in that we put the customer first in everything we do, and using that to guide ourselves in making the right decisions and making the tough decisions, both from what is right for our people, what is right from our customer point of view, was a significant test of our leadership and the things that we believe in.
And Subash, I mean, you touched on an important thing there, and I think it's the psychology of the customer and how is that going to change through a period like this? Like you, I've never lived through such a period, but I'm often told of my grandparents living through 2 world wars, how that created psychologically this culture of scarcity. And so they saved a lot more as a generation. That really left deep scars. So it'll be interesting to see psychologically what happens to the customer of the future. But coming back to the initiatives as a Pan-African bank that you've taken to help customers during the crisis, what sort of initiatives? Can you just give us a few examples? And what outcomes have you achieved?
Yeah, so I think at the onset, we got together as a group, and we had to provide relief to our customers, relief to the community, and so on and so forth. So we launched a COVID relief program towards the beginning of the COVID pandemic last year, and that was heralded as one of the best programs. It was very inclusive. It was quite holistic, and we won. We were acknowledged in leadership awards by Euromoney 2020 for excellence in leadership in our response to our COVID-19 relief program. The second thing we did was we had to make sure that we migrated our customers to a digital platform, but also making sure that we maintained a level of human touch, because one of the things, sitting in call centers sometimes and listening to some of the customers phone in, we had some very different experiences than what we originally thought. Sometimes people just wanted that human connection. With lockdown the way it was, people not interacting with one another, we found that sometimes customers missed that human connection. So we naturally saw a very aggressive migration, over 30% year on year and month in some cases, migration into some of our digital platforms. But we also had to make sure that our frontline was empowered to serve our customers in the right way. And because of that effort, we saw that the number of ombudsman complaints that we would normally receive in the banks, Absa was regarded last year, at the end of last year, as the best rated bank with regards to ombudsman complaints. And for us, it was like a major 36% improvement from what we've seen previously. And these are this kind of emphasized our key strategy, which was, we have to focus on the customer, and we have to focus also on the colleagues that support those customers, and making sure that our systems, our technology, not only met the needs of those particular customers, but also ensuring that we still maintain that human touch, because ultimately, when you focus on the customer, it's not just about a piece of tech, but it's about how do we actually solve those problems for those customers.
Absolutely. Customer centricity. And I always think of Jeff Bezos, who's just handed over the reins to Andy Jassy at Amazon, but that was really his mantra: put the customer at the center of everything that you do. And you mentioned earlier as well that digital innovation has been key to improving your customer experience. Just tell us a little bit more about what you mean when you talk about digital innovation.
Yeah, so I think some people kind of get this misnomer of what the definition of digital is or innovation is, and for us, these things are there to first and foremost solve problems that our customers experience. They need to be able to add value to the lives of the people that we serve. And if they don't, then generally there won't be much of an innovation, or there won't be much of a digital solution. And so with the same ethos, we have focused our attention to solving the problems of our customers using digital solutions. Over the last couple of months, we've introduced various capabilities into our estate. To name a few months ago, we launched Absa Biometric ID. And what this basically is with the migration of people into digital platforms, making sure that we are able to have those customers transact securely, making sure that the financial well-being of those customers are secure, becomes a critical challenge to prevent fraud and things like that. Absa ID is a biometric solution that allows our customers to transact not only safely, it has the highest level of biometric certification, but it also in the future will do away with things like passwords, remembering of passwords, having to go into various loops and processes to reset those particular passwords, because your face is now your password. And unlike other solutions that uses the biometric system of a mobile phone, which is on the typical phone itself, this is a completely different solution that is linked to the Absa banking systems. So it allows you to go from one channel to another and use the same biometric profile, regardless of whether you have it on your phone or not.
That's important. That seamless interoperability.
Yeah, and our vision for our ID or biometric ID program is that will become your security profile or your password across any of the particular channels. And in the future, you will see that you wouldn't necessarily have to remember these particular things when you need assistance in one channel or another. Your biometric would become your keys to the kingdom, so to say, without you having to remember any particular thing. But the most important thing is that what we have seen in the past, one of the biggest customer complaints we've seen is when I do everything works great, but when I forget my credentials or when I forget my passwords and I lock myself out of my account, it becomes a mission to actually reset your credentials in a way that is safe, that protects the customer, that protects the customer's identity, but more importantly, prevents fraudsters who use these loopholes to try and find ways to defraud customers. And we are so proud of our solutions and our state-of-the-art security systems. Absa introduced a market-leading fraud warranty on all our digital platforms. So we have backed up our promise to our customers, not only by the tools that we build, but also in putting our promises out there that we back up any fraud on our digital channels with a warranty that we will hold.
That's powerful.
Yeah, that is incredibly powerful, and therefore we continue to invest significantly in security, in fraud mitigation systems, and so on and so forth. So as we see customers migrate into more technology platforms, more digital platforms, making sure that they can do so safely becomes a key challenge, because fraudsters are very sophisticated these days. They would phone you and they would convince you that they would social engineering and things like that, for you to part ways with passwords. And those things can become vulnerabilities if you're not careful. And that's why we have invested in digital tools that almost negate the use of passwords as the main security protocol. Even later than that, we have now launched Abby. Abby is our chatbot within our first launches within our mobile app, but Abby will soon appear on all our channels. And what Abby does is, Abby is your virtual assistant. So instead of having to find out how to do something or ask questions, or having to phone the call center or go to the branch to find out something, or even trying to navigate an app that you don't know, or actually wanting to fulfill a simple transaction. What Abby is your personal assistant. And by simply having a conversation with Abby, you are able to either find out information that you didn't know, or have Abby basically do the transaction on your behalf. So if you needed a statement, or you needed a SARS certificate or something like that, sometimes in a complex banking app like ours, where you've got hundreds of features, it is sometimes hard for customers to know exactly where to go to get these particular things. By simply tapping on Abby and saying, "Hey, can you please get me a statement?" Telling, is it from my check account? Abby will basically fetch the statement and give it to you. And Abby is an AI-powered learning bot. So as we keep her in our production systems, she's constantly learning new things and learning how to answer questions in a better way. And we're constantly teaching her new tricks, as to say. So we expect a lot more from Abby in the future.
I think a fantastic innovation for me personally. I always battle with navigating some of the more complex areas of the online banking channels, because they do have so many features now. So I think a very useful addition.
Yeah, so in a full service bank like ours, your banking app or your digital channels or your web platform becomes your ability to access most of the bank services, if not all the bank services, on a digital platform. And because we have to cater for a variety of different services for our customers, the number of features within these platforms becomes incredible. And a solution like Abby helps you not only navigate easily, but instead of showing you how to do something, we thought it would be a lot cooler just to do it for you. So just chat to Abby, and she'll generally either help you with the answer or give you the outcome without actually taking you into the journey. Both these solutions, Abby as well as our Absa ID program, was recognized in the recent Digital Bank and Innovation Awards for Africa and Middle East, where they both won innovation categories in those particular areas. So it was actually also a bit of an acknowledgement of the work that the teams have done.
Remarkable. Subash Sharma, we're going to have to end it there. That's all the time we have. Thank you for sharing how banks are leveraging digital innovation to respond to what customers are looking for in this post-pandemic world. Subash is head of digital channels at Absa Retail and Business Bank, here on Business Talk on Business Tech.